6:45, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Sounditavam. The Premier said all government institutions should consist of officers who possess the skill of translation. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that the government will protect the indigenous medicinal system in the country. Minister Vidura Vikramanayake said effective legal regulations will be activated to promote reconciliation and coexistence in the country. Maize farmers to receive non-repayable concession of 20,000 rupees per acre for the Maha season. The price of a lottery ticket increased to 40 rupees from today. In foreign news, the Pentagon to tighten controls after classified documents leak. In sports, Mbappe needs to sign new contract to stay at PSG. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said the ministers are not in a position to change the marks of government exams, and now we have transformed into a period of pronouncing the language equally without differentiating as per the various areas. Speaking at a ceremony of awarding appointments for the translators held at Temple Trees yesterday, he pointed out that the Sinhala language differs in the southern province to some other provinces. Most probably the youth are not attentive on this issue. Even the Tamil language, the pronunciation differs as per the areas in provinces such as the Eastern Province, Northern Province and the Central Province. Thus the pronunciation in the contemporary society has transformed into a uniform position. He added that all the government employees should consist of officers who possess the skill of translation. If any shortage exists in this field, we are liable to fill this gap as the Ministry of Public Administration. But ministers are not in a capacity to interfere in examinations. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that the government will protect the indigenous medicinal system in the country. The minister made these comments while addressing the cabinet press briefing held yesterday. A program will also be implemented to commemorate the indigenous doctors. Minister Vidura Vikramanayake said effective legal regulations will be activated to promote reconciliation and coexistence in the country. Effective law reforms will also be brought to punish culprits who disturb the religious harmony of the country. The minister made these comments while addressing Parliament yesterday. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Under the Smallholder Agribusiness Partnerships Programme, under the Ministry of Agriculture, 5 districts have been selected for maize cultivation in the next Maha season, and steps have been taken to provide many necessary concessions to the farmers. The Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amaravira, said it was decided to provide a lot of aid to the farmers who grow maize in Hambantota, Monaragala, Anuradhapura, Ampara and the Badula districts in the next season. The minister disclosed this at a discussion held at the Ministry of Agriculture recently. Accordingly, arrangements have been made to give a non-repayable concession of 20,000 rupees per acre to the farmers cultivating maize for land preparation. Also, all the maize seeds and fertilizers required for the cultivation will be provided free of charge. Under the Smallholder Agribusiness Partnerships Programme, it has been planned to cultivate 22,000 acres of maize in 5 districts. The Development Lotteries Board has increased the price of a ticket to 40 rupees from today. In the meantime, the prize money is also doubled. Chairman of the DLB, Ajit Naragala, said special commissions are also provided to the district ticket agents, ticket sellers and sales agents. Meanwhile, the chairman of the National Lotteries Board, Dr. Chamira C. Yapa Abewardena, said their ticket prices also increased to 40 rupees from today. The prize money of the NLB also doubled to provide more winning chances to the consumers. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Temple of the Sacred Tuthri Lake in Kandy yesterday announced the official dates of the 2023 annual Asala Parahara. Accordingly, the annual Asala festival will commence on August 17th and will continue until August 31st in Kandy. The first Kumbal Parahara will parade the streets of Kandy on August 21st and continue until August 25th. The Randoli Parahara will commence on August 26th and end on August 30th. The Asala festival will conclude with a water cutting ceremony on August 31st and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight. The number of dengue cases diagnosed from January exceeded 50,000 as of last Monday. The National Dengue Control Unit says that 640 dengue cases have been reported in the last 3 days of this month alone. The unit said that since the beginning of this year, 9,916 cases have been reported, and the highest number of cases were reported in June. Meanwhile, 31 deaths due to dengue have been reported since the beginning of this year. 43 dengue high-risk zones have been recognized so far. That came to in Watchlight. On to World News. In the headlines, the Pentagon to tighten controls after classified documents leak. Suspected gas leak leaves 16 dead in South Africa. Disney star and pop singer Coco Lee dies at 48. The Pentagon will change its security policies after a review into a big leak of classified files found officials struggled to keep up with the number of staff who had top-secret access. New measures include the appointment of officers to control the level of access to top-secret data and installing systems to detect electronic devices. It follows the unauthorized publication of dozens of classified files online. Ex-airman Jack Texera, 21, is charged with leaking files which he denies. The results of a 45-day review of Pentagon policies and procedures ordered by U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in the wake of the leak suggested the need to increase oversight for those trusted with classified national security information. A suspected nitrate oxide gas leak in South Africa has led to the deaths of 16 people, local officials say. The victims, including women and children, died from gas inhalation at an informal settlement east of Johannesburg. Wednesday's leak has been linked to illegal gold mining in the area. Nitrate oxide gas is often used by illegal gold miners, known locally as Zamas, to extract gold from soil stolen from abandoned mine shafts. One of the gas cylinders was found leaking in Boksburg's densely populated Angelo shanty town. The victims are found within a 100 meters radius of the scene. Singer Coco Lee, who enjoyed pop stardom in Asia in the 1990s and 2000, has died at the age of 48. Born in Hong Kong, Lee moved to the US as a child and released albums in Mandarin and English. She also voiced the lead character in the Mandarin version of Disney's hit film Mulan and performed a song from the soundtrack of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon at the 2001 Oscars. Her sister said she had been in a coma since a suicide attempt at the weekend. Lee had been suffering from depression for a few years. Older sisters Carol and Nancy wrote in a Facebook post. She tried to take her own life at home on Sunday and was taken to hospital, where she died on Wednesday, they wrote. And that's World News. Development News Education Minister Susil Premajan said that Sri Lanka has made significant progress in primary education, but there are still some gaps and challenges that need to be addressed. While addressing a workshop organized by UNICEF to discuss the way forward in primary education in Sri Lanka, he said, children who represent 30% of Sri Lanka's total population are disproportionately impacted by humanitarian crisis, and they require special care and attention. And on to sports news. Kylian Mbappe must sign a new contract if he wants to play at Paris Saint-Germain. Club president Nazar Al-Khelaifi said. Al-Khelaifi was speaking at a news conference to introduce Luis Enrique as PSG's new manager, following the sacking of Christopher Gaeta. France striker Mbappe, 24, has told PSG that he will not extend his contract with them beyond 2024. Paris Saint-Germain club president said that their position is very clear. And that's sports news.
Go ekakthiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyamata set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all-new NSB Itru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Instagram owner Meta has launched its Thread app, which experts say could attract Twitter users unhappy with recent changes in the platform. The app is now available to download in over 100 countries, including the UK, but not yet in the European Union because of regulatory concerns. Users can create posts of up to 500 characters, and many features are similar to those found on Twitter. but rivals have criticized the amount of data it may collect. Meta calls the new app an initial version with extra features planned, including the ability to interact with people on some other social media apps like Mastodon. And that came to you in business news. Economic news to follow.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news.
The boss of energy giant Shell has told the BBC that cutting oil and gas production will be dangerous and irresponsible, while Siobhan insisted that the world still desperately needs oil and gas, as moves to renewable energy were not happening fast enough to replace it. He warned increased demand from China and a cold winter in Europe could push energy prices and bills higher again. Mr. Savon angered climate scientists who said Shell's plan to continue current oil production until 2030 was wrong. Professor Emily Schuckberg, a climate scientist at the University of Cambridge, said firms such as Shell should focus on accelerating the green transition rather than trying to suggest the most vulnerable in society are in any way best served by prolonging our use of oil and gas. And that's economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department forecasts that prevailing heavy showers over the southern western part of the island is expected to reduce from today. Showers will occur at times in the western, Sabragamo and central provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. The Met Department issuing advisory warned that strong winds, about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times over its western slopes of the Central Hills, northern and northwestern and central provinces, and in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts due to the active southwest monsoons. Back to the headlines of the news to conclude. The Premier said all the government institutions should consist of officers who possess the skill of translation. Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena says that the government will protect the indigenous medicinal system in the country. Minister Vidura Wickramanayake said effective legal regulations will be activated to promote reconciliation and coexistence in the country. Maize farmers to receive non-repayable concession of 20,000 rupees per acre for the Maha season. The price of a lottery ticket increased to 40 rupees from today. The Pentagon to tighten controls after classified documents leak. And Mbappe needs to sign new contract to stay at PSG. That concludes this morning's news broadcast, and now it's back to your hostess, Geethanjali Ramanayake, to keep you entertained this Thursday morning. Good morning, Geethanjali, and it's all yours.